I honestly do believe that the more information that there is out there, I think one of the benefits of social media and the internet is that I can talk about this and educate and say, hey, like, look at this. Like, you can listen to the words I'm saying, but even if you don't believe me, even if you think I'm full of crap, you are more than welcome to believe that. But I want you to look for yourself. Hey there, welcome to the Female Health Solution podcast, where we discuss women's health, hormones, and everything else in between. Join me as we dive into the tools that you need to live your healthiest life. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Female Health Solution podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Beth Westy, and today I wanted to talk about being a natural healthcare practitioner. And just some fun things about it. This is going to be a short one. I don't want to get into it because there can be a lot of negativity associated with it. But in short, the number of times in my life that I've been called a quote unquote witch doctor, which I think is hilarious, is insane. It's pretty much on a weekly basis. Yeah. That someone somewhere says something negative, right? About my credentials, about what I've studied, about the type of healing art that I practice. Yeah. So, a little rundown. I have my doctorate in chiropractic, went to chiropractic school for graduate school. So I have my undergrad in biology, emphasis in physiology. So I have a bachelor's degree. And then I have a doctorate in chiropractic. And then I also got licensed in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, specializing in women's hormones and fertility. And then also did training for functional medicine. So I'm also a functional medicine practitioner. I have studied, now this is not an official degree, but I have studied a lot of Ayurveda as well. Just because there's a lot of, I don't want to say crossover, but very similar threads with any type of Eastern medicine and Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. So for example, in Ayurveda, when you're doing an exam, you look at the tongue and check the pulse, and you do the same in Chinese medicine. It's different methods a little bit, but it's very, very similar. So it's kind of fun. So it's very different, when we're looking at working with the body in a natural way. And I remember one of the first times I was actually in graduate school, and so I was in chiropractic school. I was playing volleyball. This is before I had kids, playing volleyball on a team with a gal who was an internist. So she was a medical doctor and internist. And I think she worked in the ER a lot of the time. She was amazing. She was just amazing, an amazing human. Loved her so much. We had this big tournament in Colorado, I think. And again, this was a while ago. I've been to a lot of volleyball tournaments in my life, whatever. But it was a tournament where we played on an all-women's team. There was men's teams there as well. And, I didn't know a lot of people because I was kind of fresh out of college, newly into graduate school. And there was a team near us that I think some of the gals on my team were buddies with some of the other guys or something. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But one of the guys on the other team, I was stretching and he was stretching near me or whatever. And he was just chit-chatting with me like, oh, like, who are you? You're new on the team. Tell me about yourself. I was like, yeah, I just graduated last year from Northern Michigan and this. And now I'm in chiropractic school. And he goes, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I'm serious. Like, I'm not making a joke, man. And he goes, I can't believe that you would do that. He's like, what a worthless profession. And I was like, okay. He's like, I'm a medical doctor, so I would know. I was like, all right. And he started saying all these things negative about chiropractic and about chiropractors as people, all this stuff. And I remember very, very vividly, my teammate, she came right up and she was like, what are you talking about? She was also very colorful language there. She was like, you should stop talking. This is what she wants to study. She's very smart. She, this and this, she's really good. She's, whatever. like boosting me up. And she was like, you should not be talking about what you don't know about. And he was like, well, I'm a medical doctor. And she goes, so am I. And I know more about this than you. If you've never gone to a chiropractor yourself, she goes, unless you've been to someone who can educate and have you understand, she's like, then you don't have any right to say anything. And he like mumbled and walked away. And I was like, whoa, okay. And she was like, don't ever let anybody talk down to you about your profession or whatever. And, you know, some of the things that I've, you know, encountered, there are some people who speak things from a fear-based point, right? Which I understand. Oh, chiropractors hurt somebody, or an acupuncturist punctured a lung or whatever. There is risk to every sort of treatment. But I will honestly tell you, so the only thing that I can say is look at malpractice insurance. Look at the cost of malpractice insurance. Numbers don't lie. This is the same thing, by the way, little side tangent. When people say women are worse drivers than men, women are not worse drivers than men. Look at car insurance. Look at the rate of car insurance. Numbers don't lie. Do you think that the insurance companies would make women pay less in car insurance if it cost them more? No. Who is more expensive to insure? Men, especially teenage men in their 20s. When me and my husband got married, his car insurance got cheaper. No joke. Again, I'm not making this up. Like this, like look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Chiropractic has the cheapest malpractice insurance out of pretty much every health profession. Why? Because the rate of incidences. Insurance companies are a business. They're out to make money, right? So if that doesn't make sense to you, like if that doesn't make sense, like, oh my gosh, no, women are way worse drivers. Like really, women get injured more in car accidents because cars are made for the male body and not the female body. That's something different. But in terms of driving instances, it is less expensive to have car insurance on a female than a male, especially between the ages of like 16 and I don't know, 25, something like that, right? Yeah. Check the numbers. So, and the same thing for, you know, all these other natural professions, all these other things. When I was in chiropractic school, I worked as a massage therapist. So that's the other thing. I'm a certified massage therapist as well. In the state of Minnesota, they don't have licensing. They just don't have a licensing board for massage therapy. Each city dictates certain regulations for massage therapy, and each state dictates their own regulations too. So there are some states where people will be called an LMT, a licensed massage therapist, whereas I live in Minnesota and I'm certified right now in Minnesota. I'm a CMT as well. Great. Right? I can't call myself licensed because there isn't a licensing board, but if there was a licensing board for massage therapy, I could be licensed by that board. There just isn't one that exists in Minnesota. They let each city regulate it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm getting a little off track here with the whole thing, talking about essentially being called a witch doctor for so much of it. Which is just really funny to me. So my whole point of this is to say a lot of people talk about the risk of it, or you do something that's so dangerous or whatever. And to me, when people say that, they're just really uneducated, or they might know one person, right? But that's to say, like, driving a car is really dangerous. I know somebody who got in an accident one time. Therefore, driving cars is really, really dangerous. Is there a risk associated? Yes. But how many times have you driven a car and not gotten in an accident versus getting in? You know what I mean? So they're just uneducated. And I feel like sometimes people just don't know how to have manners or behave or even ask a question to help them understand more. Do you know what I mean? And then there's other people who come across and say very derogatory things about my profession, what I do, how I practice, all those things. Um, and to me, that's almost a prejudice that people have, unwilling to look at it, unwilling to see why someone would dedicate their life to this type of healing art form, right? And it's because some of it is because it has made a huge impact in my life. It made a huge impact in my own athletic performance. Seeing a chiropractor, getting acupuncture made a huge difference in my health during my pregnancies, right? Utilizing functional medicine helped me with mold recovery, right? So I do these things not because I think it sounds fun or fancy, but because it shifted the course of my life and my health. And I really think it's valuable to share that with other people. And again, not everybody's going to have the same experience all the time, and that's okay. But for someone to just shut it down and say, that's wrong, that's bad, that's, terrible to do, is, coming from a bigoted place. It would be the same thing to say you should or should not practice this certain religion, because that's what I think everyone should do. It's literally the same. This is what I believe helps human health. And the super funny thing too is that with acupuncture, Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine, those types of healing art forms are thousands of years old. That's not new. It's not brand new. Well, there's not enough studies and da 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 da. Do you know why there's not enough studies that are done? That's a whole other thing. Read the book Doing Harm, right? Look at the Flexner report. I mean, all of these things are the reason why they don't have these studies, because they're funded by pharmaceutical companies and there's no way for them to profit off of somebody doing a service like acupuncture. So why would they want to fund a study like that? There are studies out there. There are studies out there that show that acupuncture is safe and effective. There are studies out there that show that chiropractic care is safe and effective. More safe and effective, more effective than using over-the-counter pain medications. There are studies that show that. The school that I went to, Northwestern Health Sciences University in Bloomington, Minnesota, they have a research facility on campus where they do research, continuing research, with which research is really expensive to do, but they do it because they want to continue with the profession and show and demonstrate with research that this is helpful. Yet on average, only 11% of the population sees a chiropractor, which in my opinion is not near enough. And when we talk about the basis of chiropractic, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates had a table and describes in his notes adjusting people. So the things that the type of health that I practice and have seen incredible things happen in myself and other people is not new. And in fact is way more ancient and then therefore more proven than any other healthcare method that would have been around for 100 years or less. So sometimes it gets tiring, sometimes it gets old, sometimes it does get to be, hard to just hear the voice of hate all the time from people who are uneducated or ignorant or resistant to hearing a different voice, for whatever reason. But I honestly do believe that the more information that there is out there, I think one of the benefits of social media and the internet is that I can talk about this and educate and say, hey, like, look at this. Like, you can listen to the words I'm saying, but even if you don't believe me, even if you think I'm full of crap, you are more than welcome to believe that. But I want you to look for yourself. I want you to look up what the average OBGYN's medical malpractice per year is, and then look up the average chiropractic malpractice insurance would be per year. It's a couple of zeros different. That's a big deal, right? Look up how long acupuncture has been around. Look up the billions of people it's been safe and effective for, right? My husband is taking lessons to become a pilot right now. And one of the things and this was one of my concerns going into it, I've taken flights, right? I've gotten on a plane and flown somewhere before. I'm not a frequent flyer by any means, but I've done it, right? I've experienced it. But when he was learning on these small planes, I had worries, I had concerns. And I said, hey, sometimes you see these, articles or things where there's plane crashes. And of course, what's popping into my head is, famous, musicians or celebrities that die in these small plane crashes. Immediately, I'm thinking Buddy Holly because of where I live, where his plane crash site is in Iowa, is about, I think, 3 or 4 hours just south of where I am. Just a fun little anecdote for you there. But it's things like that where I'm like, oh my gosh, this and this and this. And he goes, listen, this is what my husband said to me. Listen, with pretty much all of those cases, there was a mistake or something that somebody made where they didn't do their due diligence leading up to it, which is why there was an accident. When the pilot does their due diligence, when they follow the checklist, when they do the thing, there's not an accident. And that's the same thing with driving a car, right? When you're doing your due diligence, when you check your mirrors, when you're using your blinker, right? All the things, the chances of you getting in an accident are way, way, way lower. And I was like, okay, that makes me feel a lot better. Like, I did not know about it. Had concerns. I asked more questions. And he shared with me information and then showed me other bits of information where I was like, okay, that's super helpful. And I do feel more comfortable with it now. So I really think that for anyone who wants to look at other natural healing forms, which are more safe and effective overall, then you have every opportunity to look into it or even try it for yourself, right? And keep in mind too, if you have an experience where you're like, oh, I didn't like that. I went to a chiropractor, I didn't like it. I got acupuncture and I didn't like it. You might just need to find a different provider. It's just like getting a massage, or if you get your hair done by someone, right? You might click and have a great experience and you're like, this is the person, I will follow them across the country if they move to get my hair done by them. Great. Or you might think, it was okay. I don't love it, but okay. Right? It matters because it's a service. You're providing a service, but it's a health service. So it's sort of twofold. That's the other thing that I like to recommend. That if you feel like you didn't have a good experience, to try someone different, try a different method, try something else, right? Because the benefit of getting regular adjustments, getting body work done, massage therapy, getting acupuncture, all those things, right? Understanding and taking charge of your health more is incredible. And that's what's going to keep you healthier longer overall. So that's my rant for today. Talking about being called a witch doctor. Again, which still happens. And I used to get more defensive about it. I used to feel bad about it or be like, oh my God, why are they saying that? And now I honestly, in my head, right now, it takes a lot for me to not say, okay, show me your prejudice more, that's not a real thing. Da, 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 da. Oh, I had somebody else tell me I like practiced voodoo. And I was like, ooh, that's actually insulting to two different cultures here now. Because the voodoo is a thing. It's a religion that people actually practice. And that's not what I do. So it's Chinese medicine. But okay. So yeah, the biggest thing that I understand is if people are willing to ask questions and learn, I'm more than happy to share information or have a conversation. When people come right out of the gate with hateful words, there's no point in having a conversation because they're not interested in learning an outcome. They're upset about their own feelings, like a toddler having a tantrum. So you just let them cool off on their own. They get to go in a timeout on their own. That's fine. That's fine. But for those people who are really interested and want to know more information, it is actually really fun to share information and for people to have these light bulb moments of like, yeah, by the way, yeah. By the way, the person who said something about me doing voodoo is a medical doctor. And he has also, his profession is also one of the highest malpractice insurance things ever as well. So again, to each their own on the things, but hopefully this kind of just shares some background insight into some of this, because it is something I deal with on a weekly basis. And I know all other healthcare practitioners do too, that are in the natural field. Chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, naturopaths, right? We all get the same stuff thrown at us. And we're still here. So thanks for tuning in and listening today, you guys. I'd love to hear feedback on this if you want to share it with me. And I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you would like more information, just head on over to drbethwesty.com for all the show notes and information from today's episode. And if you're looking for more community, more support, you can find and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and I would love to see you there.